going to jump right into the audiobook reading of The Mental Files by Nurse Anne, First 6 Stories edition. And this is from Book 1, Sheep Among Wolves. We will jump right now into Chapter 18. And if you missed the other chapters, you can go to nurseanne.com, click on the podcast tab, and watch them in order. Or you can just go to Amazon and get the complete 6 series edition or each individual book. And plus, there's a link on my website at nurseanne.com. But we'll get into that later. Right now, I'm going to read you Chapter 18, where we left off. And Chapter 17 was Crash, and now we're at Chapter 18, which is Evil Lurks on the Corner. So you remember earlier in the book, the frontline workers were able to help rescue Julie off the streets and get her to the hospital to help with her thought disorders and everything she was struggling with. But then there's still that pull of her seedy so-called boyfriend, Carlos, who's trying to pull her back into his world. So she's in the hospital. She's finally thinking that the frontline workers are going to help her. But Chapter 18, Evil Lurks on the Corner. Over on a seedier side of town, Carlos was making a transaction with his new recruit named Mars. Carlos had recently convinced the impressionable young man to try his hand at this drug dealing business. Carlos didn't want anything to do with standing on street corners anymore. In his inflated mind, he had moved up the ladder of money making, especially since the only male role models in his life were in prison or worse. Not when he could get some young kid just wanting to fit in to do his dirty work. Carlos had given up the drug dealing for his more profitable new gig. All those desperate girls off the street, they made him so much more money, and he didn't even have to stand on the street corner. Oh, it's a win-win, he gloated to himself. Yo, Mars, what you got in that bag to help someone relax, to chill? Asked the crime boss to his recruit. What's wrong, man? Are you finally getting stressed from all your women? You should be chill already. It's not like you actually have to do any real work, chided Mars. Ha ha, replied Carlos sarcastically to his young and inexperienced new partner. Nah, man, it's not for me. My best girl is going through a hard time over at the hospital. I'm just going to take her something to relax, asserted the shady thug. I hear you, Carlos. In fact, I've been feeling pretty anxious too, said Mars, standing out here myself. What if I get caught? What if my mom sees me? She'll have her whole church praying for me and stuff. I don't know if this is for me, Carlos. Dude, don't even think you can back out on me now. This isn't a game. If you want to go hang out with your mom and those boring church people, go ahead. But if you want to be a real boss and make the real money, you better stay right where you're at. Stop being a punk. If you do good at this business, I'll let you help starting recruiting those girls with me. We can make a lot of money off them, especially those little mental patients they let out of the hospital with nowhere to go. Now that's what I'm talking about. You can talk those girls into anything, laughed the creepy predator Carlos. Feeling unsettled by the remarks of his new boss, Mars looked nervously down at the sidewalk. What's wrong, kid? Don't you think that's funny? Chided the experienced criminal. Oh, yeah, I guess, man, but I was just thinking about my cousin Ruby. She's kind of like those girls you're talking about. Gets real confused, needs someone to help her make decisions. I just don't think I'd want to see her out on the street, defended the young man. Who are you, kid? Stop trying to be like some preacher man. Do you want to make money and be a real man or what? You better stop talking like that. It's getting on my nerves, bellowed the angry thug as he walked off with his bag. Calling back out to Mars, Carlos suggested, Dude, just take something out of that little drug bag if you need to chill. First dose on me, man. Ha ha ha. Still ominously chuckling, Carlos jumped into his car and headed to see Julie at the hospital. Confused and afraid and unsure what Carlos had talked him into, Mars reluctantly stood on the corner waiting for the buyers. And that's the end of Chapter 18. And we will jump into Chapter 19, which is Pity Party, on the next time. And as we always do, we are going to break this apart as it relates to real life with their own struggles, thought dramas, family dramas, and then get some biblical prescriptions to help guide us on our journey. So to do that, we're going to break apart chapter 18, which talked about the young woman that had just been rescued off the street, that had a lot of trauma in her background and just needed some people to look out for her. The frontline workers had found her a safe place in the hospital and were trying to find her a safer life. So hopefully they can continue on before that creepy predator Carlos comes and messes things up, and he's also trying to mess up the life of the impressionable young man named Mars. So to do that, we're going to jump into one of my devotionals is Word Puzzles Devotional, which is wisdom and biblical prescriptions from the ultimate wordsmith, God. And we're going to break apart. This is actually interesting words as they relate to everyday life, inner thought struggles, along with relevant biblical prescriptions. So you can get your dose of wisdom and inspiration to help us overcome and thrive in new light for our life journey. It's medicine for your soul. And I'm Nurse Ann. I'm a nurse on the front lines of emergency and mental health, certified emergency, and a mental health registered nurse for almost 30 years and still going. So let's jump into the Word Puzzles Devotional as it relates to today's topic. So today's Word Puzzles Devotional is from the letter S. This book is in an A to Z format with these interesting words. So today's word is S, sentinel. In a general meaning means to guard, keep watch, protect, defend, and advocate. And that's just kind of how the workers were looking out for this young, impressionable young lady in this story. And also you'll find out later in the story how people will also look out for Mars, who is that impressionable young man who needs good role models instead of the creepy role models. So S, sentinel, guard, keep watch, protect, defend, advocate. Are you an advocate? Do you need one for yourself? Unfortunately, there is no shortage of bullies. They invade school, work, home, countries, and every arena you can think of. Psalm 82:3 prompts us to defend the cause of the weak and the fatherless. Also those that might be called misfits or just need extra support and help in their life. To look out for the needs of the poor and oppressed. And James 1:27 continues this plea to help orphans and widows in distress. And the world contains billions of those in need. The task can seem overwhelming. Thankfully, we have a heavenly advocate. One step, one person at a time, we can be a part of the solution. In my published fiction book series, The Mental Files, there's 5 different stories, and you'll see someone being helped in all the stories. And actually in book 5, it's titled The Mental Files, Defenders of the Weak. And you're also in that story going to encounter individuals and groups being bullied and harassed, placing them in danger. Some of the tormentors are trying to keep their comfortable status quo lifestyles. So you'll get to meet these frontline workers who attempt to rescue those in crisis, mental, physical, and spiritual, with help from a God who is able. So I pray that your advocacy on behalf of others will also return in your own time of need. And that's from the Word Puzzles Devotional. And you have a link on my website, nurseann.com, to that fun and interesting devotional that's thought-provoking with interesting words and, as I said, biblical prescriptions to help us navigate this life journey. So that being said, we're going to jump into my other devotional, which is called Energize Health. It's by Nurse Ann, that's me. It's a Christian lifestyle devotional. It's good for anybody that wants more energized health for their body, mind, and spirit. And since we're talking a lot about the mind, we're going to jump into the section about the mind, section 2. Just going to talk a little bit about that. In Isaiah 26:3, we're told that you will keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on you because he trusts in you. And that's what God says to us. So remember that our minds and thoughts will try to take control and be the captain of our ships. When our thoughts are focused on goodness, we can be led on a positive and productive path. Thinking this way is not always an easy endeavor. Most days I need all the help I can get. Philippians 4 is a helpful reminder that I strive to consider. Chapter 8 says, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever things are true, whatever things are honest, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, lovely, whatever things of good report, if there's any virtue, if there's any praise, think on these things. You know, unfortunately, our minds can get consumed with worry, doubt, fear, and anxiety. Anxiety attacks us at an alarming rate. It seems like just to get through even one day, people need more and more pills and prescriptions. And Jesus never meant for us to struggle so badly. His word is full of many encouraging biblical prescriptions to go along with your regular treatment regimen. And John 14 is a soothing balm. 27 says, peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you, not as the world gives. I give unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. And this problem of anxiety and worry is a creepy little problem that affects us way too often. Even when we try to stay positive, motivated, and encouraging to ourselves and others, this sneaky attack of anxiety can be like those annoying telemarketers that try to call you constantly on your phone. Even when you block their calls or change your number and think you have those pesky callers outmaneuvered, they find another way to get through, just like the enemy of our souls, relentlessly trying to bring us down through sadness, depression, anxiety, and as you know, the list goes on and on. It's true there's a spiritual battle and spiritual warfare going on. Thankfully, God is greater and will help us fight our battles and equip us with what we need. 2 Corinthians is a great place to start. In 10:4, the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. And another heavenly prescription tells us how to get dressed for battle. You know, in Ephesians 6, it tells us about the whole armor of God that we can stand against the wiles of evil. And there's more in that in the book, Energize Health, Body, Mind, and Spirit. All these books are available through my website and on Amazon. My website is nurseann.com. That's Ann with an E. You can click on those links. You can also hear the podcasts in order if you want to go back. Not to mention there's other podcasts to help you navigate this life journey. And there's a lot of other different topics on the website. You can find out about healthy eating. There's a nurse's station for medical help. There's mental wellness. There's biblical prescriptions. There's a lot of other creative things there. There's a topic about relationships. There's a new topic about boundaries. There's even book reviews and recommendations. You're going to enjoy nurseann.com. There's even a kid at heart. There's actually so much there, and I'm running out of time. So I hope that you do check it out. And on the next nurseann.com, we're actually going to get into more in the next chapter. And then once again, we will break that apart as we always do as it relates to everyday life, our own thought dramas, and biblical prescriptions. So I hope to see you on the next nurseann.com podcast and audiobook reading. I hope you have a blessed day.